Hello students, welcome, Hoshamdeep and Hosh Galdanis. Today I'm going to discuss with you Emily Dickinson's Poetic Penetrations. I have selected a few poems and stanzas that we are going to discuss today. We are going to make a thematic analysis of all these selected stanzas and poems with reference to our previous discussion on Emily Dickinson's themes. The first poem I have selected for today is Hope is the Thing with Feathers. It's a very beautiful poem. Let's narrate a stanza from this very poem. Hope is the thing with feathers that perches in the soul and sings the tune without the words and never stops at all. In this poem, a very radical approach towards the phenomenon of hope is described by Emily Dickinson. Here, the feathers, they can be considered the multiple ways that serve human beings as their hopes, as their aspirations. Hope is metaphorically considered as a bird here in this poem, and not only a bird, but as a strong-willed bird. It helps to survive in difficult times. It always has a form. It lives in the human soul. Hope always keeps itself alive in a human being. Emily thinks that the bird of hope always finds its way to set for its flight. And this very thing is depicting the goals and aspirations and hopes of individuals for their life, for their future. So this very thing, hope with a feathered bird, is like it represents humans. And the very thing represents human life and the hopes we cherish in our heart for our life and for our future. In this very poem, we can find the elements, the themes of hope, faith, intensity of emotions, and sincerity, as I have already discussed in my previous video. The next quotation I have selected is, "If I can stop one heart from breaking, I shall not live in vain." Another very beautiful quotation of Emily Dickinson, and it shows her the beauty of her insight, the beauty of her soul. The spiritual beauty of Emily Dickinson is depicted in this quotation. It shows that she has a very strong faith in humanity and in humanitarian values. She has a very strong faith in sincerity and loyalty and kindness towards others. That's why she believes that in keeping the hearts, in keeping the souls alive. So the very thing that she believes that if she can stop one heart from breaking, her life is not in vain. This is a very remarkable and a very radical approach towards human life. And the whole scenario of Emily Dickinson's poetry is full of such things like her faith in humanity, her faith in love and loyalty, and her faith in sincerity for mankind. Let's come to the next quotation I have selected for you today. That it will never come again is what makes life so sweet. In this very quotation, Emily Dickinson opens a lot of ways to approach life and a lot of options to live the life. She explores new ways towards life and nature of human existence. And she has tried her best to represent the idea that life is a gift and it's a blessing and it should be cherished. living each day with a faith in the beauty of every aspect of life. And the very quotation also depicts the realization and understanding of the significance of life, according to the perspective of Emily Dickenson. The third quotation I have selected for today is: Forever is composed of nows. If we penetrate on this very aspect of Emily's thinking or Emily's pondering, she has a very conservative as well as a modernist perspective. But I think I am just not doing justice with the Emily Dickinson by considering her either conservative or a modernist. Emily Dickinson is what she is made of her words, is made of her thoughts, is made of her poetry. So she believes in the value of life, in the value of in the value of present. Whatever that matters is now. If we have the ability to beautify our present, we will have a very beautiful future or forever. So, according to Emily Dickinson, forever is composed of nows. So, what is necessary for an individual is to focus on the present, to put all one's abilities to beautify or to cherish the present in order to make or create a beautiful future. So, forever is composed of nows. The fifth quotation is that, not knowing when the dawn will come, I open every door. Again, we find Emily cherishing the element of hope in her poetry, and secondly, we can find the element of faith as well. She's cherishing the faith as well. She has a strong faith in the goodness, in the beauty of the coming days, and that's why, with her strong faith, with a strong resilience, with her strong thought or perspective of a beautiful future, she is aspiring and doing and working hard for the better days. That this is what is evident in this very poem, and this can be extracted as a context from this very stanza, this very quotation. We do not know what tomorrow is bringing for us, but we can hope for the best. Again, Emily's aspiration for a beautiful future are evident in this very poem, in this very stanza, in this very quotation. So she is suggesting us to work hard and to do not let any opportunity in vain, and always try to believe in that something good is coming to your way. It's your hope, it's your faith that beautifies your future. A strong faith in God and in every phenomenon that leads to what she aspires for is depicted in this very quotation. The next poem I have selected is one of the poems I like most, and the very poem is basically, we can consider it as a reflection on Emily's thinkings or Emily's beliefs about fame and success. Let's start the poem. I am nobody. Who are you? Are you nobody too? Then there's a pair of us. Don't tell. They would banish us. You know? How dreary to be somebody. How public like a frog. To tell your name the livelong day to an admiring bog. The very poem is expressing Emily's pondering on the aspects of fame and success. She is not a very big fan of becoming famous or becoming successful, because to her, in order to become famous or in order to become successful, one has to advertise oneself, one has to publish oneself, and this thing is not. Emily's cup of tea. That's why Emily in her life, she did not publish her poetry, and her poetry and rather the volumes of her poetry were discovered after her death by her sister. So the very poem is reflecting her thought on the aspects of becoming a popular person or becoming a famous person. She considers a famous person like a like it's something that is dangerous, and it makes you very common. And if you want to be unique, then it's better to keep yourself unknown. So that's why she considers herself that she is nobody. And I personally like this poem very much. So for being in isolation and solitude is everything that makes you successful. This is Emily's side of thinking about success and fame. The more you are living a private life, the more you are living an unknown life, the more you are successful and the happier you would be in this way. So I like this approach very much. If you want to be successful, do not cry or do not make a noise of whatever you are doing. We can take this in this way as well. The next poem is that a word is dead when it is said. Some say, I say, it just begins to live that day. Again, a very radical approach of Emily Dickenson towards faith and exploration of the nature of truth and nature of life. According to her, if you have said something, the very thing starts living from that day. If it is living in your mind, then it's just a mere idea. But if you have just written it, then it has just started living a life. Again, a very beautiful thing. It shows a very diverse angle towards truth, just like she has another angle towards hope in her poem. Hope is something with feathers. So she considers hope a feather bird, and here she considers that if you have said something and if you have written something, then you have imparted life in that very phenomenon. The next poem is, and I like it a lot because it's a very deep poem. It's a very deep, these words are very deep. Love is anterior to life, posterior to death, initial of creation, and the exponent of breath. In this very, in these words, you can find Emily pondering on the ontological and epistemological values of human existence. And she is conveying the meaning of love and the significance of love in one's life in a very beautiful way. You can say that love in humans is deeply explored and densely explained in this very poem, in this very stanza. And it is so pithy that you just feel ecstatic while just going through it. And from here we can also feel technically that Emily Dickinson's poetry has a strong aesthetic appeal as well as it appeals to our reason. The next and the last poem I have decided to discuss with you people is that faith is a fine invention for faith is a fine invention for gentlemen who see, but microscopes are prudent in an emergency. In this very poem, we can find the element of faith taking a new angle. Emily Dickinson here in this poem is not only focusing on her faith in God, but she is also referring to the importance or significance of science as well. As I have already told you in my previous video, that Emily Dickinson tries to explore many ways to approach truth. So, in this very poem, we find two to three major things that we can find another aspect towards the exploration of the matter of faith and truth, and we can find the importance of novelty and science as it is highlighted by Dickinson in this poem. And thirdly, we can conclude that Emily Dickinson believes in a balance between faith in God and in the phenomenon of science in order to reach to the ultimate core of the truth. Either it's the truth of human existence or it's the truth of the entire universe. So these are 6, 7 stanzas, quotations, and poems I have decided to discuss with you people, as they are the part of the courses mostly. So thank you so much for today. See you in the next video with some new topics. Allah Hafiz.